This is the concierge, sir.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Concierge Confidential. I'm your host, Brian Ortega, and in today's episode, we're going to be covering gambling for first-timers in Las Vegas. So I know that some of you come to Vegas quite often, but this is really for those of you that are coming here for the first time, or you don't like to gamble very much because you're nervous about doing it in a live setting. This is supposed to help you, set you at ease, and hopefully get you into at least experiencing that fun flutter part of Las Vegas where you might win a couple bucks and take it home with you, or buy a nicer dinner that time. So today we're going to be talking about gambling for first timers here in Las Vegas. Go ahead and dive into it. Not going to lie. This is actually the second recording of this podcast because I actually was recording on my format machine, and this is very behind the curtain. And I'm not going to lie. I knocked that episode out of the park. Knocked it out of the park. And then I look down and I see it said media full. And when I tell you, I was so pissed, you have no idea. I was I did so well. So we're going to try to replicate it on this one coming up next. So anyways, let's talk about gambling in Las Vegas. I know for some of you, this is sort of second hat, but I wanted to talk to those of you that are a little bit nervous about maybe doing it for the first time, and what the minimums are, and also just sort of what are the mechanics of getting into a game, and just the mentality you should have walking into a casino and gambling for the first time. The number one thing I'm going to tell you guys just from the beginning is that always think positive. You have to go into the experience having positive thoughts. It's very superstitious, I know, but it's very much a psychological thing and getting you ready for the experience you're about to have. Because the big thing that I hear a lot of people do at other tables, and I'll overhear them, it's oh, we're all going to lose anyways. You don't want to have that thought. Those are bad thoughts to have, because if you think that way, if you think negative things will happen. You want to think positive thoughts as much as you can. It doesn't mean that you go in there saying, I'm going to win every single hand, or that, oh, I can't lose. We don't want you going and, being oblivious to the actual, the actual things that could happen by gambling. So just to sort of be safe. But you do want to go in with a positive attitude because it is supposed to be fun. It's definitely the one thing I want you guys to leave here knowing about gambling is that, one, you should be able to afford to do it. That's number one. But also that you look at it as an entertainment proposition. That you don't look at it as a sort of money revenue stream or a source just because maybe you won once. It's definitely something that, hey, it's awesome if you win, but hey, if you don't win, hopefully you can go back and forth a little bit and maybe you don't lose too bad. It's one of those things where you want to be having a good time doing it and come away with a somewhat positive experience. I know in the moment, it's never fun to have to ever lose. Nothing comes positive from losing in terms of experience, but you do want to care a little bit about it. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive into it. So, for example, when you are looking for places to gamble, or you're looking for more affordable gambling options, I always love to recommend places like New York, and Park MGM. This is if you're on the Strip. Most of those places have $10 and $15 blackjack, which is one of the more approachable sort of angles of getting into to gambling itself. If you're, excuse me, if you're going to be on the north end of the Strip, you want to start looking at places like the Link, Flamingo, Harrah's. A lot of those places will have $10 blackjack and usually $10 craps as well. But a couple of the little basic things you should know in terms of just, I would say scheduling. Monday through Thursday is probably going to be your best time to play for the lowest amount with the least amount of people playing at those tables. Because really the thing is when you approach a dealer, they're really, I don't want to say really excited, but they're excited to actually do something. A lot of the time they're just standing there and not doing anything. And this is the thing about dealers in Las Vegas, sort of kind of a funny thing, is that they only make money if you are playing at their table. That's really what it is. They're making real money if you're playing at the table, because hopefully that you win, and then you end up, tipping them, and that's really the way that they make money in Las Vegas. So, My brother doesn't like to tip dealers. That's sort of like his thing because, he's him. But without that being said, that is how they make their money, is by tips and that kind of thing. And what I want to sort of piggyback on that is that they are here to help you. Dealers are here to help you as much as possible. They are obviously on one side of the table. They're working for the casino. It's obviously advantageous for the casino if the dealers don't let you in very much. But the dealers don't own any of that money. None of that money is theirs. It's very important to remember that none of the money that they are protecting is actually theirs, which means they actually want you to win. So feel free, this is number one, to ask as many questions as you'd like. Ask questions of, should I hit on a 14 against a 7? Should I stay on a 15 against a 6? What does 7 mean? When is 7 good in craps? All these things are very valid questions that any dealer can sort of just whip off the top of their head. And then, boom, you're on your way learning the game. The only way that you're going to learn any casino game in Las Vegas, this is sort of number 3 on my list, 3 or 4, is that you can read as many books you want about craps. You can play all the games that are on your phone, slot machine games. You're really only going to learn how to play with other people by playing with other folks, and also learning the game as well by touching the money. There is something sort of like psychological of actually touching the dice or touching the money in a craps game. So I would encourage you to maybe play a slot machine version of the game. So they do have those with the bubble craps. They also have them for blackjack, even roulette. And then do that a little bit, kind of get what the general idea and rules are of the game, and then go to a live game. Just because the live games are definitely going to be very different than the computer games, because it's going to feel the most Vegas. I always have this thing about when you come to Vegas, I want you to feel the Vegas that you wanted to feel when you were thinking about booking the trip. When you watch Ocean's 11, when you watch movies about Vegas, Vegas Vacation, you really only get the feeling of that by doing the physical thing that you've seen in the movie. So that's really what I'm hoping for. But don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And again, erase the word sorry from your vocabulary, because we don't need to hear it. It's your money. You put it down. It's all yours. So again, most of the time on the Strip, your minimum is going to be $10 and $15 or more. A lot of places that are more expensive would be like Cosmopolitan, Bellagio, Aria, all that good stuff. But the cool thing about a lot of these places, they do offer lessons. So if you ever do want to go out and learn how to play craps, Park MGM usually has a really good lesson at, I believe, 10 o'clock. And then New York also usually does really good lessons. If you ever have a question of like when do they do lessons for these games, just go to the concierge desk or the front desk, ask, hey, do you guys do craps lessons? That's usually something they know right off the top of the bat. And they're usually complimentary, because we would love for you to be able to learn how to play craps and then think you know how to play it, go play it, and lose. Honestly, we do not want you to lose, but that is what the advantageous thing is for casinos, to offer those lessons. And they're usually pretty hands-on. You're able to use, fake chips. You throw the dice, and then you kind of learn doing it that way. So it's really, really fantastic and highly, highly beneficial for anybody doing it. Another big one that comes up is you're bad at math. This is the kind of the funny thing. I took math 3 times in college, and on the 3rd try, I got a D-, which means I am not good at math. But the difference is that casinos and that kind of math just makes sense to me. I can do the math because I also sort of teach craps and blackjack and all that good stuff. But other than that, I'm not good at math. But I've seen people who are actually engineers who come to Vegas and have a tough time with how the craps pay out. So don't feel left out if you're not good at math. It will all work out. It's completely fine. And that's what the dealer's for. The dealer is there to do all that math for you. So really, a lot of times what you are doing, you are just picking numbers and making decisions. That's all that gambling in Vegas whittles down to, is making decisions and honestly just saying yes or no. and picking numbers. But when you do walk up to something, walk up with a little bit of confidence, have your money in your hand, and drop it down on the table. Drop everything down on the felt. Whatever game you're going to play, be it roulette, blackjack, craps, have the money ready to go. We don't like to wait and see you count the money in front of us because we're just waiting for you to put it down. Once it goes down, we make change, and we're good to go. That's also a way of making yourself feel that Vegas feel to it. You walk up, take your money out, drop it down. I know exactly how much money I put down on the table every single time that I do it. What do? I go ahead and count it away from the table so nobody sees me actually counting my money. I walk up, and I drop it down, and we're good to go. So, again, everything touches the felt. Do not hand anything to dealers. They will not take it. And it's the first sign that we know you're a beginner. And we're in Vegas to pretend like we all know what we're doing. That's a very, very important aspect of gambling itself. One of my favorite tips that I love to give people, I kind of always forget to tell you this, is that this is always a funny one. I usually end on this. If you are planning on eating while you're gambling, like if you're planning on eating, not while you're gambling, but eating, always eat before you gamble, because we haven't actually played anything yet. You still have all of your money. So I always recommend you gamble before you eat, because sometimes you'll lose and it doesn't feel good, and you eat that Caesar salad after a loss and nothing has tastes worse. So that's my other little tip. Make sure you eat before you gamble, not after. So for beginner gamblers, the game that I actually love to recommend for beginners is craps. That's actually the game that I recommend you do first before you play blackjack in Las Vegas. We've all heard the stories that blackjack is one of the best games to play at a casino. You can beat it, you can count cards, yada, 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 long and longer it goes. Just remember that a lot of the edge has been sort of squeezed out of blackjack, which really sucks, but it's also gotten more expensive per table. You used to be able to find a lot of $5 and $10 blackjack tables. Nowadays, it's $15 and $25 at really any major hotel on the Strip. And if you can find that $15, that's actually a good thing if you're able to find $15. But I love to tell people to play craps because, one, the game has not changed much in the last, I would say, 60 years that it's been available. The only thing that we've really changed is a couple of the side bets. We also add crapless craps. That's all the craze right now. But honestly, the payouts are similar to the ones they were in the 50s and 60s. The odds payments are, very similar. So what games should you play? What game should you stay away from? It's all part of this, how do you choose the right thing when you come into town? So a lot of people tell you not to play slots. Slots is very much the generic answer of you will not win money doing this thing. But the thing is that if you really don't want to have to play with other people like blackjack, craps, roulette, card games, whatever, go ahead and play a slot. Just pick a game that you really enjoy. Just understand how much it costs to play that game and go after it. And then also, what are you trying to accomplish by playing slots? A lot of people are really trying to take it serious as somebody can, by betting the maximum amount. That can be anywhere from, $4 all the way up to $10 a spin. And sometimes you can bet the minimums, which can be as low as 75 cents, which really pisses my mom off. But honestly, find a machine that you like, make sure you can understand what you're trying to do, and then go from there. If you are trying to win money playing slots, you have to invest in it like you're playing on an actual table. That means put in $100. Maybe you're putting more than just $20. I know a lot of people, a lot of Las Vegas locals who are really nervous about losing money. And honestly, it's valid, but they're always the one that win, by the way. But if you want to win money in this town, you gotta put up bigger money than you think, because that's just the way that it works. It was funny. I had a friend who really wanted to play the Mask slot machine, and she played it. She put in $20. She put in another $20, so it ended up being $40. And she hit like a little baby jackpot, like she hit like a little progressor, where she won like $125. And was more nervous than I've ever seen somebody before in their life. Some people are just really comfortable, gambling in general. But, my mom is trying to win thousands of dollars. That's sort of like her thing. But she still plays normal machines. She plays $5 machines, $6 machines. And these are penny. So for the real beginners out there, if you walk up to a slot machine and it says it's a penny, so it's 1 cent, essentially is what the units are, the denomination. When it says 600 credits, because that's how we like to do things here, 600 credits is $6. You just add the 2 zeros. That's really how you come up with 6. So just note that when you play the max, let's just say it's a $5 minimum, then you are actually betting $5. You are not betting pennies at that point. It's really become kind of the default setting. Penny machines, dollar machines, $5 machines, 10, and so on and so forth. You really don't find a lot of nickel machines anymore, a lot of quarter machines. They're a little bit harder and more scarce to find because people don't really bet with those, units anymore. But it is really one of those things where you just got to find the thing that you like. Like there are certain machines that I like to watch my mom play, which I actually played one of them at the airport on my own, which, oh boy, guys, if I could tell you something, nothing is more different than when it's your money in the machine and solely yours. Because a lot of times I'll go and I'll watch my mom play slots, and every once in a while I'll push the button just to see, maybe it just changes the luck or changes the trajectory. But when you are the one pushing the button and then you hit something, nothing is more pleasing than hitting something in any slot machine. But for the beginners, the most important reels on a slot machine are the first 3. That's where you score. That's where you make money. You really have to focus on the 3 reels being, the best ones. And that's if we're talking about a 5-reel or 6-reel machine with all the different payouts and so forth. They really won't pay you unless you hit those first 3 screens with matching symbols and such on the machine itself. They're really moving away from a lot of the branding deals that they had a long time ago, like Crazy Rich Asians, Jurassic Park, Karate Kid. A lot of these are games. The Griswolds, which my mom loves the Christmas Vacation slot machine, which is at the Binions Hotel. And it's always fun because you kind of, when you go with these slot players, they have sort of like these little dens that they know that's where they want to go because that's the machine that hit. And you know what? If you want to be weird and you're weird, that's totally cool, man. It's part of living in this wonderfully chaotic city, honestly. But first-time gamblers, don't be afraid. Play in the middle of the day. Like I would say between noon and 6 o'clock is one of the best times to go just because it's not as busy. They can ask as many questions as you want. And it's usually a little not as expensive. It's usually more affordable if you go in the middle of the day to gamble, which I recommend. Again, New York is a place that I recommend. Park MGM is a place that I recommend. Harrah's, Link, Sahara, all those hotels going down that direction. Fremont Street, similar thing. They usually have a $10 blackjack table, $10 craps table, and play them. It's really important to play them just because we have a lot of hotels in town and casinos that are going to more of a slot machine model when it comes to craps and blackjack. And I think having those people on the floor, the dealers, really adds to the mystique of Las Vegas in general. So that's just one thing I want to get off my chest. I think I answered most of the questions regarding gambling. Some of the best games to play in a casino would be baccarat, blackjack, and craps. Mix them up however you'd like, depending on your skill level. But those are the best games to play in a casino. Blackjack, craps, and roulette all have different reasonings. But my personal favorite is craps. I love to play craps. And yeah, the average person comes to Vegas with about $500 or $600 to play with. That's completely fine. Just remember, you have to stretch it out over a vast couple of days. So keep your options open. But that's typically what people come to Vegas with, is between $450 and $600 is what someone would bring to Vegas to gamble. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. I don't know if I'm going to change your mind on gambling in Las Vegas, but the great thing is we have so many other things that you can do in town with our wonderful spas. Of course, you can check those out. They sometimes rival what the budget is for a lot of these places. Like you can actually get a massage at, MGM Grand for about $350, $375 for a 95-minute. And that's okay. So be cool with those people. But I definitely think that Vegas is going to have sort of a renaissance of what Vegas movies look like, obviously, because our clientele has changed. And hopefully you guys gamble still, because I think gambling's fun. And I think you guys should all be a part of it. Responsibly, of course. So, anyways, guys, that was the episode for today. I will be doing an episode coming up soon on Steve Wynn, the gentleman who founded the Wynn Limited brand, which also includes the Encore Hotel. It used to include the Bellagio, Treasure Island, and Mirage, but obviously it was sold. So, long time ago. Not like it's new or anything. But, yeah, it's going to be fun talking about Steve Wynn and how he sort of created the modern, world of Las Vegas. I'll clear up some things that have to do with his personal life. But yeah, I did have somebody ask me, like, who is Steve Wynn? I want to know more about him. And honestly, I got super excited because I think he's probably one of the most important figures of Las Vegas history and transforming what was, family-friendly wasteland into, one of the luxury market brands in America. So a Steve Wynn sort of deep dive will be coming up on the next episode of Concierge Confidential, and maybe like a slight breakdown of when I went to Casa Roja, which is an experience at the Cardinals Stadium in Glendale, which was phenomenal. I was a Packer fan. Of course, I think it was phenomenal. But with that being said, guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Hopefully, guys, I'll see you soon. Maybe I'll be out and about, and you can come up and say hello if you want. There's more pictures of me out there. But again, thanks so much for listening, everybody. Thanks for reviewing, liking, or subscribing. Somebody did that the other day, and it feels awesome. But again, if I see you out in town, come up and say hello. But remember, keep it confidential.